expressed sorrow over the devastating flood disaster that occurred in Mokwa, Niger State, which claimed over 100 lives. The Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, in a statement, revealed that President Bola Tinubu has been fully briefed on the situation and has directed all relevant emergency and security agencies to intensify ongoing search and rescue operations. The federal government also extended condolences to the families of the victims and commended the courage and dedication of first responders and volunteers in the ongoing rescue efforts. Meanwhile, the Nigeria Governors Forum in a statement sympathized with the government and people of Niger State on the devastating flood. The governors are commiserating with the affected families and express support to the state government at this difficult time. The chairman of the Nigeria Governors Forum and Governor of Kwara State, Abdulrahman Abdulrazak, also commended the interventions of the state government and its coordination with the emergency responders to support the victims of this disaster. The Nigeria Governors Forum is also appealing to residents to support government's efforts to mitigate the impact of climate change, while expressing its commitment to working with the Office of the National Security Advisor and the National Emergency Management Agency to help citizens cope with the global challenge and strengthen mitigative actions and relief institutions. Now, for more on this, senior reporter at TVC News, who has been monitoring the incident, Chidemi Bami, joins me from Niger State. But also joining me is an environmentalist, Desmond, Majekodunmi. But we'll speak with Chidemi first, who is on ground in Niger State. Chidemi, what update can you give us at this moment, especially in terms of emergency response?
Good evening, Precious. It's been a long day monitoring the turn of these events at Mokwa. And if for nothing, we've seen community resilience, seeing how community people are coming together for each other, consoling each other, and working assiduously to recover corpses, together with efforts from the National Management Agency staff. Quite a number of bodies have been recovered. Like you rightly said, the death toll right now is still at 115 from, according to the Niger State Emergency Management Agency, death toll is at 115. But the people say they are still looking for their loved ones. So quite a number of households are still looking. People are still missing in those households, and rescue operations is still ongoing, even as at this time right now.
Thank you so much, Chinemi. I know you're staying on that story for us and you bring us updates when you have it. But what we know now is that the death toll still stands at 115. But let's get more on this as we speak with environmentalist Desmond Majekodunmi. Good to have you join us.
Good evening.
Good evening. Most of the times when I have to speak with you is always on circumstances like this, especially in the country. I just want to once again get your reaction to this disaster in Niger State.
Yes, well, our hearts go out to the grieving families and the people who have lost so much, the horrible terror of it. But it is something that we have been warned about, not just for Nigeria, but for countries all over the world. This is the classic symptom of the sickness that we human beings have inflicted upon nature, climate change. And it's very basic. You have more heat in the planet, so you will have more evaporation of the water bodies. And when you have more water evaporating into the atmosphere, you will have heavier rainfall. In fact, some people refer to it as rain bomb, because you have a vast amount of rain falling in a short period of time. And it is so sad. And especially it is even worrisome because more is coming. More is coming this year and in the next few years to come. It's going to intensify. So we need to take every measure that we can to ensure that we are able to mitigate against this and to be able to adapt to it. It is a priority. In fact, the United Nations has said very clearly that this climate change is the biggest issue humanity has ever faced. And what we're seeing now with these poor people in this wonderful section of our great country, it is an expression of how awful it can be. We thank God that the president has allocated forces to work to help the people.
I don't want to lose a line of thoughts, you are on, which is a mitigative approach, because it will seem as though we have mastered emergency response in the country. But what do you also make of anticipatory response, especially because this community, we understand, it has proximity to River Niger?
Yes, it's a huge challenge, and as you rightly said, it's better to prevent the need to have the emergency response because we're doing pretty good with that. But it's better not to have the emergencies. And the reality is that there are immediate measures that must be taken. Dams in that location, because we're hearing that there could have been a broken dam, dams in that location must be reinforced. And the various rivers and streams, they must be dredged. They must go deeper. And see, what has happened is that because of the cutting of a lot of the trees, a lot of the plant life there, erosion has happened, and it has lifted up the ability of the streams and rivers to carry water because they've been silted. There's a lot of more sand in them because of the erosion. So massive amounts of tree planting and vegetation of all sorts must be put in those areas. And then people must be urged to move away from what is known as the floodplain areas. They should be helped. They should be given alternative places to go to because the floods will be coming. The other mitigation that must be taken is that we, Nigeria, as the giant of Africa, we have to stand up firm with other African nations at the various international conferences. There's one coming up in November in Brazil, and we have to insist that the international community allocate substantial funding to those countries that are more vulnerable. And ironically, we have not contributed that much to the overall problem, which is the pollution of the atmosphere with gases that are causing the global warming and causing the climate change. So we have to gather our African nations together and go to the international community and say, look, you must provide the necessary funds for us to be able to adapt to a problem that you caused. And once Africa stands together, we can get it because the world needs Africa far more than Africa needs the world.
Absolutely.
We are the giant of Africa.
That's one conversation that must be had because we contribute very little to carbon emissions, and we bear the brunt of it. But I also wanted to talk about the conversation that has been raised by the chairman of the Nigeria Governors Forum, Governor of Kwara State, Abdulrahman Abdulrazak. He's talking about working with the Office of National Security Advisor in terms of approach to mitigate the impact of climate change, which is something you mentioned earlier. He's also talking about relief institutions.